it'll come back. But we have to remember that all these things that God teaches us is for our own edification, to help us to grow closer to Him. And to help us begin to walk. He says that if a man confesses Jesus Christ, he ought to walk even as He walked, tells us. In the book of John. And so this is what God is doing in us all the time. Thinking, if you're going to profess Jesus Christ as your Savior, you need to learn to walk and to talk just as He walked and talked, and to realize that, you know what, putting bad things in here, it just fills up to where it just becomes something that I naturally do, and it's not something that's edifying, and it's not drawing me closer to the Lord. It's taking me further away. And it becomes habitual. Let's look at another Proverbs chapter 10. And that's the last Proverbs. Proverbs 10 and 19. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. God shows us that if you can learn to control that thing, if you can learn to keep it towards the tranquil, peaceful place, and not the place of wrath, this brings wisdom into your life. This brings a peace that you don't get. This doesn't put things up here that you'll repeat. This doesn't bring you to a place of allowing anger a place in your life. That, you know, when we begin to speak against something, we begin to stir in anger. You've ever noticed how the politicians, when they get in I can't even stand to hardly watch them anymore, because they can't even act civilized. Amen. They can't even sit there and have a discussion. Even on the news programs, the people on the news programs can't even sit there and have a civil conversation, because, and guess what? Anger begins to come in. And somebody says something they shouldn't have said, and now this one's got to fight back, and pretty soon it's just a war of words and nobody understands nothing. And that's what this is talking about. That's what this is teaching. If you saw 4 people sitting at the table and they're all arguing except one, and he's just sitting there like this, you'd be thinking, I wonder what he's got to say. He knows something the rest of them don't. And this is a guy I like, because he's learned to I'm not going to get involved in all of that. I'm not going to get involved of trying to make somebody else look littler than me, or I'm not going to get involved of trying to tell somebody that I'm better than they are. I want to get involved in getting closer to God. I want to get involved in working on my relationship with Jesus Christ, and let all that stuff be just what it is, just stuff. Because it doesn't edify, it doesn't fix, it doesn't do anything, and there's no wisdom in any of that. When you see that on TV, I don't see anybody on there that I thought, oh yeah, this person needs to be a leader. I think about Ronald Reagan. Remember when he talked? He just spoke his piece. I don't think I ever heard him even kind of raise his voice. Sometimes you almost had to listen to what he was saying. And you know, it's another little secret that my dad used to tell me. He said, if you want to get somebody's attention, start whispering. Holler won't get it. But if you begin to whisper, as people know, they'll know. What's he saying? Do you see how that works? It's just automatic. We're drawn to that peaceful, tranquil. We want to be on that lake where the water is peaceful. We don't want to be out there in that flood. And yet we open our mouth and walk out into that flood and invite all this anger and all this wrath and all this stuff in by letting our mind and our mouth control our mind, instead of letting our mind control our mouth and say, no, I'm not going there. Let's look at what Jesus had to say about it. Matthew 15. It can be the smallest thing, and sometimes even not intended in the way it might be taken, but it can cause so much damage. Matthew 15 and verse 11. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Do you see what he says? What comes out of our mouth doesn't defile the people around us. It defiles us. What comes out of my mouth doesn't defile them, doesn't make them bad. No matter what bad things I say about them, what comes out of my mouth isn't what makes them bad. What comes out of my mouth is what makes me bad. So much of what this goes on, it's just amazing. You can just walk around and listen to people talking. And I was thinking about this as I was praying on this and studying about this, I was thinking, wow, just sitting around and listen to people talk. Very seldom do you ever hear somebody say something good about somebody else. No matter who's talking, no matter where they're talking, it doesn't almost matter anywhere you are. Somebody is talking, oh, I hate this job. Oh, I don't like these people. Oh, I don't like it. It's just, man, say, you know what? I love it. I love the life that God gave me. I love it here on this planet that He made for me. And I love it when I feel the cool breeze. And I love it when I see that peaceful lake out there. Or a stream of water. I remember when I was a kid, Rucker Canyon, down in the Chiricahua National Monument, down in Chiricahua Mountains, down southeastern Arizona. There was a little lake that they had made. They blew the dam out and took it out now. But we used to go camping up there all the time when I was a kid. And that creek that fed that lake, the cleanest, clearest, purest, coldest water you ever touched in your life. And we get up in the morning, go down there and wash your face in. You want to wake up? You get up in the morning when it's a little cool out there, and stick your hands in that water, and it feels like you just come out of the freezer. It's just if you just hold it in your hand for a minute, it'd be an ice cube. You just pick it up and wash your face with it. You're wide awake. That quick. That quick. But it was so pure and so clean, and you're just, that's what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be used to edify God and to edify His people and to edify ourselves through it. Not to pass out wrath. Not to condemn. Not to put down. Not to talk about. But to say, you know what? There's a lot of love in my Father. And He gave me all that I need and all that I can contain. And the more I share, the more that He gives me. And the more that I use this for that, the better it gets. And the more I use this to share the love of Jesus Christ, the more habitual that gets to be. And it's not those other things. Learning to control it. James has something to say about it in the book of James chapter 1. James 1:26. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is in vain. I thought about that kid that we met yesterday. You know what? Even though someone had said something that hurt him, he never said nothing bad about that church. He even said, that's a good church. They got a good youth group. I like that church. But they're judging me, so I don't know what to do except to go on somewhere else. Do you know how many things he could have said? I'm sure there was a lot of things and a lot of things he could have said, and a lot of people he could have talked about. But I thought right away, that just so represented this whole sermon. I was like, that's exactly who we're supposed to be. Those are good people over there. There might be one that said something they shouldn't have said that made me feel I need to go. And I told him, I said, just always remember, no matter what happens in your life, God is still in control. And maybe it's just time for you to go somewhere else. Maybe you've grown as much as you can grow there, or God has a purpose for you somewhere else, and He used this to move you. I don't know. But what I am saying is, I was so grateful that kid didn't say nothing bad. That's not what's up here. It's not what he puts in his mouth that defiles him, it's what comes out of him. And he didn't defile himself. So many times we defile ourselves. And we need to remember that when we start to say something, well, that guy, he's a really nice guy. I may not agree with everything that he does or believes, but you know what? He's a really nice guy. So many times, it's what we do with it, how we use it, when we use it, and the attitude we use it with determines on its purpose and what it's going to be. And it can be from that one extreme to the other that quick. So remember as we go, remember as the weeks come on, as the days come on, if I want to grow closer to God, I got to learn to make sure I control this thing. And if I can't say something nice, I'm just not going to say nothing at all. Even better, I'm going to learn to say something nice no matter what. No matter what, I'm going to learn to say something nice. And let the glory of God be revealed in all that I do. And let my relationship with Him grow closer and stronger as I learn to walk as He walked and talk as He talked. That the name of Jesus would be revealed in all my conversation. So when I speak, you know what? Let me take a minute. I was reading an article. It takes less than a full second to change our attitude and our thought. When something comes our way and we want to speak out against, it takes less than a second. I can't remember how they broke that down, but it takes less than a second to say, nope, I'm not going to say it that way. Nope, I'm not going to say anything. It takes less than a second to make that choice. So it's not like something we got to stop and say, well, I just didn't have time to think about it and I just said it. No, you had more than enough time to think about it. Everybody's got a second to say, you know what? I don't have nothing nice to say, so I'm just not going to say nothing at all. Or maybe I can come up with something nice to say. But this tongue of ours it can be as calm as that lake or as rough as that flood. Don't let it be wrath. Don't let it be destruction, because it's only bringing destruction to ourselves. It doesn't defile anybody around us. It defiles ourselves. So remember that as we go. Remember as we think about our daily devotionals and stuff like that, that we remember that it's wrath, depending on how you use it. I always like to try to remember a song in the morning time, and then no matter what happens, I can just start singing that song. Do you just remember that song? You know what? Let's just do that while we're standing here doing that. Remember we came back from Alaska and we had learned that song, Oh, How I Love Jesus. Well, we're going to get it on a slideshow. We don't have it yet, but we're going to get it on a slideshow. But the way it works is, oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because He first loved me. Oh, sister, do you love me?
Oh, yes,
Do you really love Jesus?
yes, we really love Jesus.
Tell me why you love Jesus.
This is why we love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, brother, you love Jesus.
Oh, yes, we do love you.
Do you really love Jesus?
Oh, yes, we love Jesus.
Tell us why you love Jesus.
This is why we love Jesus.
Because He first loved me.
Okay, put that little song in your mind. And then when you're going to say something, say, oh, I really love, think of that. Oh, sister, do you love him? That's your opportunity right there. Oh, brother, do you love him? Let that just bury in your mind. And when something comes up in your mouth and you're going to say it, say, oh, brother, and then you can just say, oh, yes, I do love him. And then start singing the song and all that stuff will go away. And you'll never say nothing bad again. Amen? Amen? All right, here we go. did that wrong again? Oh, okay.